Right now, I'm making concrete pipes for blowing up. Pretty much that's what we make most of our stuff for, is blowing stuff up. Hey!
Every time you see a spaceship crash into the ground, be it in, Planet of the Apes or Independence Day, it's a miniature.
The scale of this is massive. And to get that scale and debris and fire and everything, nothing can compete with a miniature.
Things that would be destroyed or be huge event locations where things would just shatter.
CG is not really too great on doing stuff like explosions, interaction of stuff actually hitting, matching, and debris coming off. So that's the stuff that really sort of happens here.
There's just a lot of serendipity or randomness that happens.
We can pick up a lot of that detail that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And so, trying to get that extra little bit of realism into our CG city.
Same size person's probably just about this tall.
When they say you're gonna work on the model unit, you imagine these tiny little models, little figures, and then you realize when you arrive that, either something that's in 10th scale or 3rd scale or 5th scale, still huge.
Technically, it is a miniature, even though that ship is close to a ton.
They're the biggest miniatures you've ever seen. They don't look like miniatures at all. They look like live-action sets.
The studio started calling them bigatures because, like the dock doors, even though it's 10th scale, is really 30 feet high and 40 feet wide.
Why aren't we building this even, half this scale? It's because we have explosions and fire, and you can't change the size of fire.
Ready and action! Ready and action!
On this film, we pretty much started out with the Digger, which is our key actors, our players in this. We built part of a 5th scale Digger and a 10th scale Digger.
They built a shape of the finished Digger, essentially, but with absolutely no features on it whatsoever, but very heavy. It weighed a couple of 100 pounds, I think, and so they could drop it in a controlled manner into the specially constructed 1 to 10 scale pipes.
This is going to be where the Digger plunges into the lower dock set. These pipes are pyrosil and aluminum, and they're going to crush down to simulate real pipes. Should be good.
Right, but you want the pyro coming from inside the pipes, though.
Yeah, inside the
So
catwalk.
it was difficult to build these complex environments and make all of the reactions happen properly. That the explosions, the pipes that would flip up into frame, the debris that would fall, tried to capture as much of that as possible.
Action!
This project I have right now, we're taking miniature Sentinels, I call them baby Sentinels, and we're destroying them. They're the dead Sentinels that'll be placed on one of the crash sets.
And those Sentinels have been used for a dropping sequence. It looks like a great big pile of seaweed. It's a fantastic effect.
They are evil little creatures, but the bad guys are always so much neater, so I like working with the bad guys.
A lot of the miniatures, again, have to do with interaction. In the case of the dock, you had a control tower up there that topples down during the battle, and that will be built in miniature just for that purpose.
The Hamburger is an extension of what we built in Australia.
They built like the top 20 feet of this in live action, and we've built everything above that. And this tower will be in a giant room that'll be generated in computer graphics.
Primarily, it's for where they need to go really close so that you don't have to go and render the whole thing out for that.
There's a lot of fine detail surface area on this one.
They'll build all the core structures out of wood and steel. It's got to be steel because they're going to be crashing this crane over the side of this tower.
This is the crane. This goes up on top, and this thing could spin all the way around.
Even at 10th scale, it's an extremely large model. To do the motion control photography on it, we had to build a motion control crane. That's one of the largest motion control cranes in the world.
We finished weighing and it weighs 5,100 pounds, the whole model. And the crane top that's gonna fall is 800 pounds, which is scary and exciting all at the same time.
That tower has been absolutely beautifully designed, and now we're gonna see it destroyed.
The ship will pass right through all of this acrylic, which will represent the deck, and it will just bust into 1,000,000 pieces, hopefully, or 1,000 pieces.
Unless we make it too strong, and then the ship's gonna stop.
So this is what we came up with for the finale of the Mjolnir into Zion to save the day.
The Mjolnir, I put these scales on it, or these big metal plates that gives extra detail, because these plates that you can like break chunks off, like it broke, skidded against something.
The actual doors.
Yes.
Yeah, I think each one is like 3,500 pounds.
The gate, we must have the biggest gate. We need this gigantic mechanical, machinery-driven gate.
This door behind me was the biggest roll aid shot for me. It had the most possibilities for absolute failure.
And then when that thing is traveling down the track, we did a test yesterday, it's like a car. It's flying down the road. It's pretty freaky.
Yeah. This is probably one of our largest events.
The ship weighed about a ton. It had to go pretty fast. It had to make a turn. And then while it was making the turn and squeaking through the door and blowing up, it was dropping and rolling, and the nose was sliding over. So this was a pretty big deal.
We have 5 cameras, and it takes us days to set up these shots. We're all a little nervous if we're not sure whether it's gonna be right or not. We're crossing our fingers.
Ship is saved, ship is saved.
Call that a direct hit.
Jesus Christ. Looks like the Hurricane Mjolnir came through here.
There are so many things that can be achieved by having the background into which they can put a digger or whatever it might be. They start off with a basis and then they can add to it.
Computer graphics and the miniatures are actually integrated into every shot. So you'll have CG models, you'll have hand-built models, you'll have computer graphic pyro layered on top of real pyro, and ideally the blend will be seamless.
Like taking the old-fashioned way of movies and blending it with the most modern way of doing movies and trying to get the best elements out of each.